Good everyone, welcome to this video, and today we have a review on the M4 Hybrid. So obviously you've seen the review on the AMX, and I said, yeah, that is definitely worth full price. I think it's pretty fair to assume that. The M4 Hybrid, however, I don't think it is. Now to some people, you may be going in the comments right now and going, well Joe, you had a pretty good first drive in this thing, and you said that you liked it so far. What's wrong with it? Well, there's a couple of things wrong with this tank, and that's putting that lightly. So the M4 Hybrid is a tank that obviously was added as patch 1.99, and it's one of the few vehicles that I've actually spent my own dollar on. The truth is, though, folks, I'd ask for a refund if I could, because I don't know what it is about this tank, but to me, it just didn't work as well as a normal Sherman would. I know that seems silly, but to me, this just didn't feel like a Sherman to me. The gun, obviously, it's exactly the same as a normal Sherman, but it's just the fact that even in the cast armored Shermans, I could reliably bounce rounds, unless it was a super high penning round like a 57mm from a Russian gun, in which case that's going through no matter what. But after playing a couple of well, obviously the Italian M4A4 and the French M4A4, I felt I could do better in those tanks than I could the M4 Hybrid. Now, obviously, I can understand why they've done this thing as a premium, because obviously this is more unique, this is more special and everything. So I do appreciate the fact that they've done it at that. The problem is the price. 1300 GE this tank costs, and yeah, it's not worth that, in my personal opinion. I don't think this tank is worth 1300 GE. If anything, I would actually argue this tank is worth about 1,000. Give or take. Give or take about 1,000. The problem is with this tank is that to me it just didn't work in an up tier. The M4A4 I barely got up tiers in, and even then it seemed to work with its armor. The problem is with the M4 Hybrid is that it's a cast hull, and those have weaknesses. Now obviously the M4A4 is no bouncy demon either, but at the same time that does have a couple of weak spots, but that has rolled armor on the upper glacis, not cast. So if you don't know about your cast armor, it is 0.95 compared to 1, which is the rolled homogeneous what is it, the modifier. So essentially 50 millimeters of armor is not 50 millimeters of armor, it'd be 5% less. So that would be, I think it's like what, 1 point something, like it's a couple of millimeters less, and those couple of millimeters less make all the difference. So let's go over the armor, and I can point out what really pisses me off about this Sherman. So obviously 50 millimeters of armor on the front, 50 on the transmission plate, and 50 on the where you would think there's 100 millimeters, but yeah, there isn't. It's the same with the M4A4, but this has a different transmission design and the casting and all that. So you do get a couple of pieces of track put on there, and you also get a. Where's the other piece? I thought there was another piece of track on here. I do apologize. But obviously the MG port is just as easy to penetrate. You don't even have to shoot the ball mount. You can just shoot to the right of that, which is even better if your shell has a different fuse or anything. And obviously with machine guns acting as additional armor, it's just like there's no point. But even then, you can just hit the bulges on top of the area here. Now, one thing to point out as to why this Sherman pisses me off is the hatches. Look at the hatches. These are big hatch Shermans. Well, this is a big hatch Sherman, as you would call it. And this tank was, well, it would have been late 43, early 44, likely to have been designed and built and everything. Because I believe it was Chrysler that worked out the cast or the hull that you can see, obviously, what we would call a composite hull. And obviously the side is rolled, so we don't need to worry about the side. It stays as 38.1, but if you're getting shot in the side, you're dead anyway. Same with the rear. But the turret is what really pisses me off. Now the turret face isn't the problem. And same with this. This is a historical weak spot, so I can understand that. 50mm of armor all around, top of the roof is 25, commander hatch is 50, engine deck is 19.5, so it should stop most. It's the gun mantlet that pisses me off. So, for comparison, I'm going to use the M4A4's gun mantlet, which is exactly the same, just to point out. Let's take a look, shall we? So, we have 50mm of armor on the main plate, but then behind that, we have 88.9. Okay, just remember that for me. And I'll do the same with the M4 Tipo, which is this one. Again, you can see a problem here. The Firefly had the same mantlet as the M4A4 and what the other Shermans have. So this is why I hated the Tipo, because of this gun mantlet. And sadly, the M4 Hybrid's been hit the same. Now I reckon this is a deliberate nerf to this tank, because obviously it's a late 40s, like it's a late 43, early 44 tank, so it would have the armor of the M4A4, but yet it doesn't. Same with the Tipo. That tank would have been around the same time period, if not a little bit later, because obviously it's a Firefly. But I just don't understand it, because this tank has been deliberately nerfed. The M4 Hybrid is arguably worse than the M4A4, except you do get the 50 cal, which is nice. So do I recommend picking up this tank at full price? No. I would either wait for a sale, or plop a talisman on the M4A4. I think the M4A4 with its boosted front armor, and obviously the applique armor actually helping you out on your bulge armor area, I would actually argue that the M4A4 is better because of this. And obviously this thing gets the proper gun mantlet, which this gun mantlet is so good. Even some German guns have problems with it at range. So if you're gonna get yourself a vehicle around this BR, get yourself an M4A4 and plop a talisman on it. You're saving 320G doing that, and then you can use that for maybe another talisman or maybe a cheap low tier premium that you might want to use to start off a tree. But the M4 Hybrid, I can't say I'd want you to actually use that. However, there is one area that the M4 Hybrid does pretty well in. Same with the M4A4. And that's down tiers. Down tiers in this tank are your friend. I can promise you that you will have a lot better results in down tiers than you will up tiers and even at your own tier. The reason for that is because obviously you're fighting with the Germans. You don't have to worry about German guns. The most dangerous gun that you'll probably have to worry about is the US 76mm on an M10. And even then, they're not that big of a deal. Well, I mean, you've got a better turret traverse, you've got just better armor overall, so you should be okay, but obviously if they shoot your gun mantlet, you're dead. With a top speed of about 23 miles an hour, this tank does move nicely, but yeah, I mean, it could be better, but to be fair, it's a Sherman, you can't have everything. So at this point, I've spotted this M10, and I just lead a little bit too late, otherwise that would have been a turret shot. Not like it mattered anyway, because the Panzer IV H just blew his head off. Which, I mean, it felt like a down tier, is all I'll say, but it turns out this is actually a 4-0 game. Now, the reason why I say down tier is a friend is because, well, you'll see by the amount of vehicles that I fight, like the different types of vehicles that I encounter, I don't actually really meet anything that I shouldn't face in a down tier. Turret shot on the M4A, or that, I'm about to say M4 then, but It is technically an M4 because that was a British Sherman too, but you get the point. Kill number 1. And this is one of my favourite spots that I like to go to. And you can sort of understand why. I mean, you've got decent cover, you've got decent you've got decent coverage, shall we say. But just overall, I thought this spot was pretty good. It's gonna go quiet though, so don't worry, I'll jump us ahead. Another thing that the M4 Hybrid lacks compared to the I was too busy talking then, but that was an M10 who tried to flank our team and everything. But all I'll say is that the M4 Hybrid lacks smoke. It doesn't have a smoke grenade launcher, which, to be fair, most Shermans are lacking. And it doesn't come with smoke or smoke shells. Which disappoints me because you would have thought in a late 43, early 44 tank, this would have been given smoke rounds. They would not have fobbed off the Italians with anything like that. So here you can see a French M10. He's currently sat hull down and he's waiting for this marder to my right. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes currently trying to dogfight with him until I decide I'll check my right and, well, I'll go and flank him. So, there you go. Flanking him. He obviously knows I'm here, but I go for the engine shot, but the fuel tank eats it, because, well, logic. Put a shot in the turret, which surprisingly doesn't kill the gunner, but it damages the breach enough so that even if he did have his gunner, which he does, it doesn't matter. I put a shot into the rear of the engine deck, and, well, the rest is history. It's just an M10. Kill number 3. An Italian Sherman gunning a French M10. Great matchmaking and copy-paste there, Gaijin. Although the M4 Hybrid technically isn't a copy-paste. I mean, you could argue that it is, but nah. It's got differences compared to the Tipper. But obviously I'm coming up here and obviously I'm noticing smoke, which is an immediate sign of either a British tank or an American tank firing smoke. And obviously you can hear smoke grenade launchers going off. So here comes a Cromwell. He takes a hit to the front, which surprisingly doesn't kill him. He thinks, ha, I can get away. No you can't, mate. Kill number 4. So I'm trying to move up here, and here's a Cromwell trying to sit behind a Sherman, well, a destroyed Sherman, to hide his cover. Didn't work out, his turret was facing out, so I could just put a shot there and kill him. Kill number 5. And at this point, our team is... they're doing okay, but our team's going to get overflowed on the A point. Because this is a conquest map. So we only have one capped point. But like I say, you're going to want to try and keep this thing in down tiers. If you get up tiered, I wouldn't even bother. Use the M4A4. Now some might argue, well, you have to unlock the M4A4 and you have to spade it. Correct. But the M4A4 is better to play. So it won't take long at all. Kill number 6. I felt sorry for those M10s because, well, I obviously the 75mm can crack it from the front, but with the additional track armor that's sometimes on those M10s, you're going to want to be careful with that. It's always best to just go, okay, let's wait for a side shot or look for a corner in the armor that I can penetrate. That's nice and easy. But obviously we're up to kill number 6 now, and I'm thinking at this point, what should I do? So I'm going to check my right, and I'm going to make my way back down towards the beach. So I take another look, I go forward for a shot, and I actually spotted the AMX on the corner. Kill number 7. I went for a turret shot for that exact reason, because it's far easier to deal with it with a turret shot than it is a hull shot. You have higher chance of killing an AMX if you go for the turret. So that's kill number 7. And at this point, I decided, okay, I'm going to go make sure we're not being flanked. And, well, we're not being flanked, but what is under attack is the A point. So I started making my way up to, yes, towards their spawn to deal with the AA, so our planes could come in. But there's no one here. They're at the A point. So at this point, I make my way down there. And I'm just thinking, lock the turret to the rear, pull it forward now. And yeah, there's one thing that the M4A4 can't do. Sadly though, I don't get the air kill on that guy yet. I scored hits and he actually crashes a couple of seconds later. And has he gone yet? No, he's not crashed yet, but I did score hits. He does crash, but I don't get the kill for it. There we go, he's just crashed now, but I don't get the kill for it. Thanks, Gaijin. But at this point, we only need to kill 2 enemy tanks to win the game. And well, there's one of them. A Locust. And any second now. There's the second. Kill number 9. Like I say, even though this was a 4-0 game, I did get relatively lucky. If that M22 would have aimed a little bit better, he could have likely done some critical damage to the tank, maybe even killed it with the angle that he had on me. But hey, the 37 ricocheted off the front, so there you go. Like I say, I don't think this tank is worth full price. I would highly recommend putting a talisman on the M4A4 instead of this. But at the end of the day, it's your money. I can't decide what you do with it. But in my opinion, the M4A4 is better. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's review on the M4 Hybrid, and I will see you all on the next one.